Something was just brought to my attention. Thank you very much for the person who told me about it, which was MS Tech Dude or Miss Tech Dude. Anyway, thank you. He sent me well, it's he. His name's Adam. Thank you, Adam. He sent me a link to a story of an accidental shooting in a school, and I want to bring this to your guys' attention. You can read the story yourself, but I'll give you the gist of it. The link will be in the description box if you want to click on it. It goes to msnbc.com, whatever, one of their versions of the story. But the gist of the story is in Portland Orchard, Washington, a 9-year-old boy, some kind of like domestic situation where he was living with his grandmother, I suppose, and the grandmother died, so he moved to his uncle's house, and he didn't like his uncle. Whatever. He was going to run away from home. He needed a gun to be safe, blah, blah, blah. And in the story here, it says that he found, so let me make sure this is right. Instead, he found a gun at his mother's house where he had visited over the weekends. So right off the bat, this tells me, all right, well, he's visiting his mother's house. Why can't he live with his mother? Like, there's got to be some kind of messed up situation where he was living with his grandmother, and then she died, so he had to move to his uncle's house. Right away, it brings up red flags. There's something wrong with his parents. Anyway, he finds this gun at the mother's house, and the gun, it's an H&K 45. It's loaded, condition 1. There's a round in the chamber, and there's a full magazine full of 45 rounds. The safety was off. He takes this gun, puts it in his backpack full of stuff, mind you. It's at the bottom of the backpack so no one can see it. There's a bunch of stuff on top of it. And he's in his classroom, and he's like getting ready to run away. I guess he was going to run away after school, whatever. And he drops his backpack, and the gun goes off. Probably not because the gun had an impact. More likely, when the backpack dropped, something in the backpack along with the gun had gotten to that trigger guard, pulled the trigger, whatever. Gun went off, shot through the bag, and hit some 8-year-old girl in the stomach. And she collapsed. And right now the girl's in critical condition. And the kid is, going to court, and, who knows, he might be in jail for something. I guess stay in juvenile hall if he gets, convicted of some kind of crime. I don't know the details of what's going to happen to the kid. But the point of me telling you the story is that, first of all, crap happens. Stuff like this happens all the time. Sometimes we hear it in the news, sometimes we don't. I mean, if Adam didn't send me the link here, I would never have known about this story. Just like if you didn't watch this video, you probably wouldn't know about it. And bad things happen all the time. That's not the point of the video. The point of the video is to remind everyone, if you have other people in your home, whether it's siblings, it could be people older than you. You may be in your 30s and you have your father living with you who's in his 60s. That poses just as much of a threat as a little kid. You may think that's stupid, but you just never know. If you don't live alone, there's always this fine line of owning a gun at the house, and being a gun owner. It's about home defense and being prepared and blah, blah, blah. Well, we want to be prepared. We don't want our gun unloaded and disassembled and in, a safe, which is in a locked room. And I mean, it's not logical. We want our guns, or at least one gun at a time, to be immediately available, loaded, ready to go. This creates a problem when you don't live alone. When you live with other people, particularly children, it becomes an issue. And I think a lot of households, they tend to, a lot of adults will, I think, wrongly choose to hide a gun that's loaded for protection. In their mind, they're thinking, all right, well, my kids don't know I have it, or maybe the kids don't know where it is, but I can get to it, so the kids are safe, but I'm safe. If someone breaks in, I can get to it real quick and stuff. It doesn't work. Sailing Emmanuel made an awesome video recently talking about this and how he had an incident with his teenager. I don't know the details of it, but he now locks up all of his guns. And he was talking about kids getting everything. Absolutely. I can totally relate with that. I mean, I remember being a kid in my house. I knew every nook and cranny in my house. I went through my parents' drawers. I, looked in cabinets. I looked on top of cabinets. I looked everywhere. There is no hidden spot to a child, okay? And the worst thing you can do is make the gun taboo. If you were to say to a child, all right, I have a gun. It's in the closet. I'm going to tan your hide if you go in that closet. I'll beat you if you even think about going by that gun. You may think that you're instilling this idea and fear into this child, but you know what? If you're away and they truly think that there's no way you're going to know about it, they're going to want to go investigate. When you make something off limits, it makes the urge to go experience that thing that much more. It's just like if you have a cookie jar on your counter and you say you cannot have a cookie, don't have a cookie. Then the kid's going to go in when you're not looking and take a cookie. If you say to the person, you can have a cookie, but you come to me and, we'll talk about it and I'll let you know and blah, blah, blah. Maybe that's not a great example. Cookie's not a gun, but I think you know where I'm going with it. Uh, it's all about knowledge. And, if I always thought that if you have kids and, one day when I have kids, I'll show them guns at a very early age. I want them to think that it's nothing. It's like a fork or a spoon, Not to that extent, but at the same time, I don't want them to think it's this dangerous, magical thing that they can't have because it's going to make them want it more. If you go over it and you say, hey, anytime you want to look at the gun, that's fine. Come to me. We'll look at it safely. We'll talk about it. They're going to think that's boring, honestly. And kids who are around parents who have tons of guns and the parents are like excited about it and they're constantly like, oh, you want to go shoot with me? Let's go to the range. And a lot of those kids end up not having an interest in guns because it's so regular and it's so accepted that they just like lose interest. Like, whatever, Dad, I don't want to go shoot with you again. Come on. You know what I mean? But the kid whose dad doesn't let him even see the gun, he really has an interest in that gun. And that's when they go and they play with it, or they have their friends over. They want to show off their friends. Oh my God, look at this, I did that. My father was never a gun owner, but he had a pellet gun, and I vividly remember being like 11 or 12 years old. All right. And my friends coming over for the house, whatever, after school, parents are at work, and I go, oh, grab the pellet gun. I was told not to touch it, but I did anyway. I'm a kid. I want to show off. Oh, you have a pellet gun? I don't have a pellet gun. Yeah, my dad's got a pellet gun. Let's, we'll go outside, shoot a couple rounds. We'll never know. That stuff happens all the time. So this is just, a vivid reminder that if you have children in the house or anything like that, try to think about all the possibilities, In some cases, I don't have this personal experience because I live alone, but in some cases, you might have to give up that idea of getting to your gun quicker and have the thought that you're keeping your family completely safe against this firearm, and have that kind of overpower well, I want to get to it in a split second, what are the chances of your child finding your gun and hurting someone or himself or herself over the possibility of someone breaking your home? We all want to be prepared, and that's why we have these guns and stuff. And I totally get that, but you got to really weigh the pros and cons here, and you have to really weigh the danger assessment, really. But anyway, I feel horrible about the story. I think that's I can't imagine the parents, how they feel, the girl's parents, even the boy's parents. Well, then again, if they're not living, if he can't live with the mother, and they don't even mention the father, it's probably a pretty broken home, I would imagine. But at least the girls. I mean, imagine as a parent, if you have kids and you're watching this video, imagine getting a call at work saying that your child in third grade or your child in second grade, whatever, even if he's in high school, it doesn't make a difference. You get a call from the school saying, or a police officer, and says, hi, Mrs. or Mr. whatever, your child, there was an accident, he was shot in the stomach. You'd be like devastated, and come to find out it was someone else's kid who brought a gun that was accessible to him to school, and now your child may die because of it. That's horrible. It's a horrible thing. So just keep that in mind. And I would recommend, I'm going to put a link to Sailing Emmanuel's video in the description box because I think it's worth watching too. If you don't subscribe to him or didn't see that particular video, definitely check it out. So anyway, thank you very much, Adam. I appreciate you bringing this to my attention. And thank you, everyone, for your attention and listening to me. It's always appreciated. That's all. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Take it easy.